This is the Prestigious Initiative, and these are the points. I'm Chris Kent, and I'm joining Chris Bean. Hello, Mr. Bean.
Hello, sir.
Let's talk about our conversation or your conversation with Annie Margarita Yang. Before we get into it, what are your initial thoughts or first thing, anything you want to say about that? Because I really enjoyed our conversation, and she was very knowledgeable, very well spoken, and the conversation was just a joy to be a part of.
Yeah, in fact, I was just telling you how it seemed like it flew by because, like you said, she was very good with her answers, concise with them, and it was a good back and forth as far as the conversation went. So we talked about being a Toastmaster or being a part of the Toastmasters program there towards the end, and I think that her communication skills were clearly on display in that interview for sure.
Yeah, I guess we can start there talking about Toastmasters. I don't know about you, but and get kind of talk about it in uh, the episode, but I I've heard of Toastmasters, but I've never realized the benefit that Toastmasters could be. And if she is any example of what a Toastmaster is like, then I'm gonna go look up our local Toastmasters right now. Very impressed. Um, Not with just her speaking, but her overall and even the message that she's delivering is great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I asked her in the interview, and I've heard I've read lots of people who have talked about Toastmasters, and in my head, I thought it was in fact, in my head, I thought it was a competition that you would go to, and you do your speech, and they grade you, and you get this place or this place or this, and maybe that's part of it. I guess I don't know. Seemingly, from what I read, that's how it was presented. But if it's a course, oh my gosh, yeah, that would be incredibly beneficial because, like we talked about in the interview, people are we go in university we have a public speaking class, a speech what is it, speaking
Speech.
speech class, and you're not being taught how to speak. You're just doing presentations, but you're doing presentations to like 12 people in the class that are your friends, and the teacher's giving you a grade. But I mean, okay, that's not quite the same as being in front of a group of people, like a stadium of people, and talking to them. That would be incredibly terrifying for like everybody. Somebody It's crazy that this is the fact, but I've heard people say, and more than one person, that public speaking is the number one fear over death. Over death? You'd rather die than get up on the stage and say something in front of people? What? That's crazy. That's crazy. But seemingly that's the case because people they are terrified when it comes to talking to people in a group type setting. So an opportunity to face your fears, to confront the dragon, sort of say, and get up there and talk to people, man, that would be incredibly beneficial. But on top of that, if the people in the audience are there for your benefit, that are have your best interest at heart, that are giving you feedback on things to do to improve, not only you have a curriculum that was designed so that you will improve. Holy cow, yeah, what the heck? Why do we not know more about this? People should do that all the time. That'd be incredibly beneficial for nearly every area of their life because being able to communicate better is huge, huge.
Yes, sir. Getting back to Annie, talking a little bit about her journey of how she started and where she ended up. She mentioned that she worked a lot of minimum wage jobs, and on the side she was making money. And at a certain point, she switched to focusing on saving her money, and then she did that for a real long time and was really good at it. And she took that, and then from there began to seek accounting jobs without having a degree for doing the accounting. And I think the most inspiring thing about that and the way that she talked about it was that she knew she had the skill and the ability, and she knew that she had traits, and the person that she was someone people could rely on, and she had good work ethic, and she knew all those things. And even when guidance counselors and other people would tell her that she would never get a job because she didn't have her degree, she didn't listen to them because she knew who she was, and she knew what she was capable of, and she knew the knowledge and skill that she possessed, and she persevered with that, and she pushed forward through that. And I thought that was awesome because even as she said in the interview, a lot of people would hear what someone else said, "Hey, you'll won't get this without a degree." Oh, okay, well, I might as well quit and just keep working minimum wage jobs for the rest of my life. But she knew herself, and she knew what she was capable of, and she used that to market herself, and she worked hard to find a job and get into it and then continue to progress up and up and up. And I think the foundation of that was her self-confidence and the assurance of who she was and what she's capable of. And that's one of the main things, in my opinion, that helped put her in the position she's in now. I think we all can learn from that because I think we all have skills and abilities that we too easily or too often let other people speak against or speak down on. And that's just it's detrimental to us. And so we can learn from her and from her story that, we are more powerful or we're stronger than we think. And it's not always a good idea to let every passerby tell us who we are and what we're capable of, because it's just oftentimes might not be true or might be an attempt to kind of hold us back.
Yeah, and that I think was, I mean, of the many things that she does well at, I think that probably was her number one superpower, was being able to take what somebody told her and let it be filtered by her own mind to say, nah, I don't really put much stock into what you say. I don't believe that. That's not for me. Don't put that label on me. But like, what a fascinating way to do that, because like you said, we're all told, especially in school, hey, you can't do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Okay, great. That you must know what you're talking about. You're the teacher, you're the guidance counselor. I gotta do what you say. But she did not, she very much did not do that. Not only did she not do that with a guidance counselor, but for her recruiter and lots of different places across the board, didn't let somebody else define what she could do or couldn't do or was supposed to or not supposed to do. And I think that, again, that was probably of the many things that led to her being successful. That was probably one of the major things if I had to distill it down into something, because oftentimes we're told that we can do this, we can't do, and we're letting other people kind of move us around. But if we can take control of it and do it ourselves, like, I don't really trust what you say. I'm going to do it on my own anyways. I'm going to prove you wrong. I mean, that would be amazing. That'd be amazing. So I think that, case in point, that was huge for her success, I'm sure early on, but as she continued on, that was another major part of her success, because she was able to just filter out the negativity or the criticism that somebody else was saying, oh, you got to do this, and trying to move her on somebody else's path. She kept her own path. Hugely beneficial.
And she said, we have the choice in what we listen to. And she also talked about not letting someone else set your own limits. So the people telling you can't do this because of XYZ, but knowing that you could otherwise, it's powerful. And like you said, Mr. Bean, to being able to kind of lean into that and push yourself farther than that is going to make a big difference, I think, in all of our lives. And so we talked about jobs. We talked a lot about jobs, about finding jobs, keeping jobs, getting better at your jobs, moving on from your jobs. And one of the things that I really enjoyed hearing from her was the idea of having your 9 to 5 with the purpose of or the intention of using that to pay your bills, and then having your 5 to 9 using that to build your fortune. And how we kind of get caught in this, hey, I work 9 to 5. That's my job. That's where my money come from. That's where my money comes from. I have all this other time out here to do whatever I want to do. I might as well spend it watching TV or sitting around on my phone or doing nothing. When really, that's your time to, as she said, find your calling and pursue your purpose. You work this job to pay the bills, and then all the other time you're not working your job, you can work a side hustle, something you actually care about. You can invest in yourself by learning. You can better yourself by exercising or whatever it is. We get caught up in this idea that we work 9 to 5 and then everything else is just extra. But I think it's the other way around. The 5 to 9 outside of work is life, and then the job is just to pay the bills. And that's why, again, I think that paradigm can be shifted. And I think that's something she's working toward and doing a good job of through her book and her videos and her interviews, her speeches, all this kind of stuff is helping us realize the potential that we have outside of just work, and even the potential we have to change work into something else. She talked about the job she's working where she would work during the day and find that she had some extra time. So instead of sitting around twiddling her thumbs, she researched the software that she was using. And she bettered herself, which in turn bettered the company, which gave her more free time. And then she was able to become more productive and find better ways to do things. And she constantly tried to improve herself and make herself better. And I can't put words in her mouth, but I don't think that was for her employer. I think that was for herself. She did those things to make herself better, and her drive was unparalleled, and it really has paid off because now she's able to do the things that are supposed to be for quote unquote 40 hours in significantly less time, and then use the extra time to follow her passion, help others with financial um, financial life and create content and do things that she actually wants to do rather than being caught in this endless cycle of the job, and again, I think that's speaks to the person she is. And we can all learn from that lesson and we can all learn from her life and kind of implement that in our own and do some work and put some work in it and be consistent about what we're doing and kind of really change our lives just by the perspective that we're doing and shifting the paradigm of what we're told because again, as she said, we have the choice in what we listen to.
And I think the big thing for me, the big takeaway from there was that 9 to 5. Of course, everybody has a 9 to 5 or somewhere in between there, but the 5 to 9. Now, we talked about this as far as the productivity went. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. People just are able to do so much more than others because of the way that they spend their time. And so if your 9 to 5 is set, can't change that. Your 5 to 9 is a variable. You can change that. You can make it to what you want it to be. And probably you're spending a lot of time doing this on your phone instead of doing this and reading or learning or whatever else that you could be doing. And so I think that, perhaps part of that is being mindful about what you're doing and the things that you're spending your time on. And are the things that you're spending your time on useful, valuable, beneficial to growing you as a person? Or are they detrimental to you? Are they holding you back or keeping you stagnant to where you are? And with that in mind, what can you do to change and apply and grow? What would you be willing to give up to change, to critique a little bit so that you can grow and be on a better path than what you're on now? And I think that, like she said, that 9 to 5, we have that. But people don't realize that you have 5 to 9, the outside the work time, that's for you to work on growing yourself, whether that's wealth for yourself or your mental fortitude or whatever it is, but that's for you or your family. However you want to spend that time, you get to choose. And so I think, like I said, to be mindful that you have that and you can change that and you can mold that into something that you want to make yourself better, hugely beneficial. Yeah, what a good mindset shift.
Annie's story was completely covered in the ideas of continually working to get better, finding ways to work faster, using all of the hours that she has and being able to plan her day to keep learning, to maximizing, downtime and getting full use out of everything. I think that's something that we don't always do a good job at, but she is a prime example of doing a great job at that and how much it's benefited her. And again, not to say that she found a hack, because I do believe that she actually worked really hard and does work really hard to have the life she does now. She talked about when she first started giving financial advice, she's been doing it for 10 years, but 5 of those years she did it for free.
Mhm.
Like she did it for free because that's just the hustle that she had and the passion that she had. And it took the work to get her to where she is now. She has a lot of people telling her she just got a viral video on YouTube and became popular, but that viral video came after the 5 years of free work. And then there's more work to be done after she goes viral and all the things that are entailed in that too. So again, it's easy to look at her and say, oh, well, you just got lucky. But having talked to her and heard her story, it's all about work. She did the work and she found ways to work faster, work smarter, work better, and she never stopped and never stops now, I imagine either, trying to improve herself, make herself better. And that's a key thing that we talked about also in talking about finding jobs for some generations or some people, is that we get caught up in the idea that you need that qualification, you need that certificate, you need that degree or whatever it is. When really, case in point, in her life, people are more concerned, not always, but more likely than not, people are more concerned with who you are and the attributes you have and your work ethic. And if you can show up on time and if you can learn things the first time, if you don't have to be told or reminded again what to do, if like the attributes and the skills are a lot more important than these credentials all the time. And there's ways kind of around not having a degree, or there's ways that we can kind of forgo some of those things because you're able to do the job and you're able to be taught and you're able to be a good worker or a good teammate, whatever it is. And she didn't let that stop her in any aspect of her life, and it's propelled her through her career and put her where she is now. And if we can just learn from that and implement that in our own lives, I think that we would all find that we start to skyrocket our potential and put the work in. We can also kind of grow and progress in our personal lives and in our careers.
Speaking of her work ethic, I think that is incredibly inspiring. To be the type of person that can fit 40 hours into 10 or 15 hours because she did the work to organize it in such a way, and then to organize it. What's the I'm at a loss for words. We'll say organize. To organize it in such a way that, oh, efficient. Organize in such a way that she could be so efficient that she could condense that work time into a smaller and smaller time. I'm sure not for her boss's enjoyment, although I'm sure the people who she works for are incredibly beneficial to have her. And us normal people, we would be propelled to new areas of opportunities if we could instill some of those things to us. And I'm sure throughout the time that she was doing that, that is monotonous work. And on top of that is extra pressure that she put on herself, that she was willfully put on herself to do more. And it's not like she showed up to work and okay, I have 40 hours to do this work, but it's going to take this much time. It's going to take, 5 minutes to, 10 hours to do this work, but I have 40 hours. So I'm gonna milk this and just take a little bit of time and just make this take forever and ever. And no, she did all the work and got it done as quick as she could, and then went to her boss. Okay, hey boss, what do I do now? Oh, well, I think that this would be beneficial. I'm gonna research this software that we're using that I don't think we're using to the best of our ability and learn how we can use it better. Boss is like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Right? Why would you, what boss in their right mind would say, no, I want you to sit back in your office and stare at the paint because you're done and I gotta have you. No, of course not. They're gonna do this work. Yes, great. Or, hey, I'm done with all this work. Do you have any other work? Yeah, sure. Here's this other work. And those are the people. She is the type of person that when the boss is looking for somebody to move up the ladder, she's it. Those are the people who are going to move up the ladder first because they put the work in. And it's not because that they're expecting or waiting to move up the ladder, but it's because that's the type of work ethic, that's the type of person that she is. And if we can strive to be that type of person, oh my gosh, that would be so beneficial to everybody, your employer, yourself, civilization, society, all around would be better if we could instill that type of work ethic for ourselves. Yes,
Go big or go home.
that's right.
Live that big life, which Annie is doing. And again, I think we can all learn from her story and her perspective and the things that she can instill, not just about financials or finances. I mean, I know that's her main drive, but just her story alone is inspirational in the way that she lived her life and lives her life currently and the person that she is and the person that she wants to be. I think that's the most inspiring. Now, I'm sure that there's plenty we can learn about finances from her, and we can go and check her out on TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff there too. But again, I think her story and who she is definitely the best thing about her, and what we can learn is great. Yeah.
I agree. Yes.
Those are the points for this week. Make sure you come back next week for more points and another great conversation. Until next time, I'm Mr. Kent.
And I'm Mr. Bean.